Hello. Today we are going to learn how to use an online graphic organizer tool. Graphic organizers can be helpful when preparing for a paper or presentation. It helps to gather your thoughts for your final product. The tool that we will be using is called Text to Mind Map. You will create a web organizer by typing an outline. It will put your outline into a web that will be visual to you. You will then be able to save it as a file on the computer as well as printing it. So let's get started. You will start by opening a web browser on your computer. In the URL box, type www.text2mindmap.com. You will then see a web and outline already completed. You will need to erase everything in the outline box on the left-hand side of your screen. Highlight the text and hit the delete or backspace button. You can then click on Convert to Mind Map below to clear the web as well. Now we can start to type our outline. We will create our outline and web organizer on the scientific method steps. To begin the outline, click on the box. You will need to have a title. Our title will be The 5 Steps of the Scientific Method. Type that on the very top. You do not need to indent quite yet. Then you will indent by clicking on the indent button to the right arrow once. It will indent and you will be able to then type the first step or idea. The first step is to state the problem. Then you will need to hit Enter to go to the next line. This time you will hit the same indent button again because you are adding detail to what was already indented before. You can now type Clearly state the problem to avoid confusion later. This is the detail added to the first step. Click the Enter button, and then you will need to outdent by clicking the arrow to the left. You are now ready to write your second step. Our second step is Gather Information. After typing Gather Information, you can hit the Enter button. Click the Indent button, which is the right arrow once. You can now add your detail to the second step. Type Look at conditions surrounding the problem and research. Click Enter, and then you will need to outdent by clicking the arrow to the left. You are now ready to write your third step. Our third step is Form Hypothesis. After typing Form Hypothesis, you can hit the Enter button. Click the Indent button, which is the right arrow once. You can now add your detail to the third step. Type Formed by examining observations and making an educated guess on what the outcome might be. Click Enter, and then you will need to outdent by clicking the arrow to the left. You are now ready to write your fourth step. Our fourth step is Experiment. After typing Experiment, you can hit the Enter button. Click the Indent button, which is the right arrow once. You can now add your detail to the fourth step. Type test the hypothesis, unbiased. Return to add another detail to step 4. Then type, do not favor the outcome you predicted. Click enter, and then you will need to outdent by clicking the arrow to the left. You are now ready to write your last and 5th step of the scientific method. Our final step is draw a conclusion. After typing draw a conclusion, you can hit the enter button. Click the indent button, which is the right arrow once. You can now add your detail to the final step. Type examine data from experiment. Ask questions about your hypothesis. Return to add another detail to the final step. Then type, what was wrong with your hypothesis? Now that we have completed our steps, let's convert it to mind map. Click on the Convert to Mind Map button. You will now see your outline organized in a web form.
Great, now we can work on our map. You can change the font by clicking on the font box. If you click on the font box, a list of font colors and font sizes will appear. By changing the font, you can click on the box of your web of what you would like to change. Let's say we want to change the clearly state the problem to avoid confusion later. Click on that box, and you can change the font color by clicking font color, and then choosing whatever color you would like best. I like this purple or pink color. Now you can see that all of the color font of all of the boxes have changed. You can also change the font size by increasing it larger or by decreasing the size. That looks good. Also, you can change the lines of the box. The line color is now gray, but say you would like it to be green. You can see that it lit up and turned the lines green. Now you can also move the boxes around by clicking on the box and moving them to whatever direction you would like to do. That looks about good. Let's just make sure you can see all of the boxes. That looks good. Now you can save your map by clicking on Save Map. It creates the image, so you might have to wait a few minutes. A download map will then appear, and then you could save it. It will save as a JPG file. Then you can go to File on your computer and go ahead and Save As. You can create a name for it. Let's create this as Scientific. Then click Save. You can then exit out of the screen by clicking on the X of whatever screen that opened. Now you can also print this. You can go to File, Print, and then you could print it to whatever printer is connected to your computer by clicking on Print. We won't print it today. Great, now you know how to prepare an outline and web organizer for your paper or presentation. Good luck.